Hello everyone and welcome to Van Tech Corner. In this video, we're going to install Samba4 on OpenWrt. And for this video, I use the NanoPi R6C. This one has an M.2 connector and I have installed an Intel Optane NVMe SSD on it. The space is just 16GB, but it is enough for the test. So this guy will walk you through configuring the storage, and then we're going to configure the partition, check the block mount, and then configure Samba4. And at the end, we will have some of the troubleshooting stuff as well as checking the throughput we have when writing to the network share, as well as take a look at the power consumption. So why I made this tutorial? Well, there are two guides for Samba4 and Samba3 on OpenWrt wiki. Each of the guide is missing a small pieces of information, which makes beginner look confused. So that's why I decided to make a full walkthrough video to have the beginner get started with network share, and you can easily configure on your OpenWrt device, whether it is a Linksys WRT 90AC or the Xiaomi RG3s or the NanoPi OpenWrt router board. So this documentation is based on three main documentation from OpenWrt wiki, the assembly configurations on Samba3, Samba4, and USB storage. So in order to install the packages, you will need a working internet connection. And for this one, my NanoPi R6C already have a working one connection. In my case, I can see that most of the packages has been pre-installed, such as the mount point, such as the network share and things like that. And basically, I just need to configure it. However, in your case, you may need to install all the required packages right here. But don't worry, we're going to do it step by step. So for this guy, we will need added edge set to the router because there are something we need added edge. We cannot purely do it on the web UI. So in order to establish the added edge connection, you will need putties or command prompt or your favorite added edge client. So for the hostname, it will be 192.168.2.1 for my case. But if you're using OpenWrt stock firmware, it should be .1.1. So let's just log back in. The first part is storage. So for storage, we have two main types. We have a USB disk, whether it is a USB sticks or a USB to SATA adapter, and then it is connected to an SSD or HDD. Alright, and the other end will be the native SATA or NVMe disk, and usually, as I can see, this one is automatically detected. Why? For the USB disk, we will need to install those packages. Basically, you just need to run OPKG update, and then you just need to install the two packages in order to detect your USB storage device. And then this USB utility will be the command to check your USB device. So in this videos, I'm using the Intel Optane NVMe disk, so I will skip the storage driver installation. Okay, so after you have installed the driver, it's time to check if the device is detected. And basically, you can run this command. So ls stands for list, and then DEV, and then SD, and then this star key. So if you have any LSD connected, it will show up. So in my case, I'm using an NVMe, so I should use this command. So let's check it out. So very good, we have the NVMe zeros and then followed by NVMe zeros and 1. Alright, so we have the NVMe disk detected. So the next thing, we will need to install block mount. So basically, this will be the package that help you to mount the disk into the system. So in my case, I already installed this one. That's why when I try to install it, it say that it's a pre-installed. Alright, so the next step will be create a partition on the disk. And in order to create a partition, you can use fdisk or gdisk. And my favorite tool is fdisk, so I will just proceed with fdisk. And as usual, in order to use the fdisk package, you will need to install it. So here I have it pre-installed because I'm using OpenWrt. That's what pre-install a lot of packages from Alex. So let's start the command by type int fdisk/dev and then /NVMe 0 and 1. So I don't know why I need to type in N1, but if I type with NVMe 0, it will say some error. So it should be NVMe N1 for my case. And if you are using SSD, then the DEV/ should be followed by SD8 and follow the number of the disk. Alright, so here is fdisk, and basically the first command I will delete the partition, and right here it says that no partition is defined yet because it's a blank disk. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new partition. I put it N, stand for new, and then I will put it primary, and then partition number default. Let's go with default. So we have created a new partition type of Linux, and the size is 13.4 gigabytes. Very good. And in order to commit the change, we need to type in W, which stands for write. Let's hit enter. Alright, so right now we already done, and the next we will need to create a file system in the partition. So if you check the tutorial from OpenWrt, you can see that we have a lot of file system. We have exe4, we have ex5, we have NTFS, and these guys I only focus on the ext4. So here is a guide for the ex5, and for F2FS and NTFS, you will need to check this guide. Then basically, in order to have a reliable NTFS, you will need to configure something else. So make sure you check the link and proceed accordingly. Alright, so it asks me to install these packages, and then need to install this package as well in order to manage the ext4 file partition. And very good, so let's do it. Make file system.ext4. Alright, so let's run it and hit enter. Proceed anyway. It says that it already detects a Linux partition. You want to proceed? Yes. Let's hit enter. Now we will need to auto mount the partition, and basically we can do it with the CLI, just like this one, or we can do it with the web UI. So I prefer the web UI. So let's go to the OpenWrt web UI, go to system and mount point. So please make sure that you have reboot your router after you install the packages in order to show up. Let me refresh the page. Let's try to add a new mount point, and right here we already have the NVMe 0 and 1 show up right here, and the mount point we see that it doesn't show up. Alright, so we will need to select one. I will put it okay slash. Alright, I don't know why. Alright, so it will be MNT and then NVMe 0 and 1. Hit enter. Advanced settings, so right here, file system, I put it exe4 and mount options and save. And then, very good, let's hit save and apply. So here is the thing you can do to manually mount it via the web UI, or you can copy and paste this command to enable auto mount. So at this step, if the partition is successfully mounted, you should be able to check the folder at CDs and then MNT NVMe and 1, and perfect, we are here. So if I type ls, I can see the lost and found, and if I make a file, let's say v test.txt, hit enter. I can actually type in, so let me press the I key to switch to insert mode, test, and then run quick and clear. So if I type ls, I can see my file right here. So we have successfully created a partition and mount it. Alright, so the next thing will be configure the Samba4. So here is the thing we need to run to install Samba4. You can install this package using the web UI or using CLI. It doesn't matter, but I prefer the web UI. So let's log out and log in if you just install the Samba4 package, or else you may need to reboot the device. Okay, so let's go to NAS and then network share. So right here we have Samba 4.14.12. Alright, so workload decryption, you can put your decryption right here, and about extra tuning if you need. And I just leave everything at default, but I will focus on the share directories. Click the add button right here, and for the name, maybe I should put it Optane. For the part, so do you remember the part? It will be /mnt/NVMe 0 and 1. Browsable? Yep. Read only? No. Allow user. So right here is a crucial part. You need to type in the user that has read and write permission that you will need to configure later. So on this guys, I'm going to use the ventc as the SMP user. So to make sure, I will disable guest. Alright. So just that. So a lot of things we can do, but I don't use Apple Time Machine, so I just leave everything at default. So hit save and apply. Now we have configured Samba4 and it's time to create a user and the password. So the username for Samba is stored in this file etc/password. So in order to modify that one, we need to use the V editor. So right click and hit enter, and let's go down to the last one. And in order to make change to a file, we will need to use V editors or Nano. So for V, in order to change from the command mode to the editing mode, we need to press the I key on the keyboard. And just now it changed to insert. Alright, so hit enter, and here is the sample line for creating a new username with the name ventc. And then this is the unique ID, and this is the roof, and have no home directory. So let's just paste in, and that's it. So now we will need to press the ESC keys on the keyboard to switch back to the command mode. Press colon, right, and W to right and quick. Alright, so it's time to set a password. So let's do that together. So I will put in my own password. And very good. Lastly, let's restart the Samba service. Not sure if this is the correct command. So we have an error message that is Samba not found, so perhaps it is Samba4. Not sure if it's correct. Perfect, that is Samba4. So far, we have successfully configured Samba4 on FrameWrt or OpenWrt, and now let's try to map the network write using Windows Explorer. So in order to map the network write, let's go to this icon, click Map Network Write. For the write name, I will put it at the Z. The folder will be 192.168.2.1, and then /Optane, because this is the directory that I put. Connect using a different credential and hit finish. So right here, I need to input the password and hit OK, and that's it. I have successfully connected to my share write on OpenWrt. So let's try to create a file. Let's see if we can do that. And as you can see, we have an destination for the access denied, so this is a no problem with SMP4. And fortunately right here we do have some workaround. According to this article, we have some of the workaround. So let's say you can change the owner of this one, then let's say this is the command for SSD or HDD, and this is the command for NVMe, right? So you need to change the name accordingly. Now let's run this using the command line interface. Alright, so make sure you have specified the mouse directory or the mouse folder, which is this one. So right click, hit enter, and let's do the same. And now let's try again. New test document, test. Okay, and very good, we have the write set to the right. Now let's perform a write speed test, and in order to do this I will copy the files from my Samsung NVMe SSD to the NAS. Alright, so I'm going to select all the files and I'm going to paste in the Optane directory right here. So we can see that the write speed is up to 230 megabytes per second. The CPU is at 69% idle or 60% idle, which is 40% utilization. And right here we can see that the throughput is up to 1.6 gigabytes per second. Let me do another test, and this time it will be a read speed test. So I'm going to copy the files from the NAS, which is the Intel Optane SSD, to the Samsung SSD. Control C and Control V, and we are running at 280 megabytes per second. So right here we can see that the throughput of the network interface is 2.4 gigabit per second. The CPU is at 80%, 81% idle, and the test will complete in just a few seconds. In order to make sure that we have the accurate result, I will run another test with CrystalDiskMark. And right here, let's select our folder, which is the Z, right, and hit O. So let's wait for the result. The CrystalDiskMark is done and the result is impressive. The sequential read speed is at 296 megabytes per second, and the sequential write speed is at 295 megabytes per second. Random 4K write with 32 queues and 16 threads is at 117 megabytes per second, and random write 4K with single queues is 4.76 megabytes per second. During the test, the power consumption got up to 8 watts at some point, and most of the time it was fluctuating between 5 watts. Alright, so that's what the result with the speed test. And lastly, let's take a look at what you can do. So right here we have some fine tunes and all the advanced configurations, such as disable the network firewall for SMB package to have a better throughput, or enable remote access, or Apple Discovery, network discovery, and things like that. And before ending the video, I have something to share. So just now on the network share, you see that I put the allow users event TC, and this username some ways were the same with my Windows username, which is ventTC. So if you are using the same username for your Windows and your network share, which were configured on the NanoPi R6C, you may have some problem mounting the network share, and maybe you have some problem with set it. So if it is possible, I do recommend that you are using a different password and username for SMP and a different username and password for Windows. However, if you are using the same username and you have no choice, make sure you check out the local policy. We have the local security policy right here, and in this one you have the security options, and there are two things you need to pay attention to. One thing is this one, Microsoft Network Client digitally signed communication. By default, it will be disabled, but in your case, if you set it to enable, you may have some problem mounting your network share. And the other thing will be this one, Network Security LAN Manager's authentication level. So by default, I don't remember what kind of setting it is, but so for Samba4, you need to set it to send NTML v2 response only and refuse orders. Alright, so I hope this information is useful for you, and thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.